A couple of weeks ago, I put a poll in my community posts over on my YouTube channel asking you guys, the viewers, what kind of budget meals video you like to see on my channel in the coming days. And the far and away clear winner was this video, how I fed my family with just $70 for the entire week. That's just $10 per day for my family of 5, or $2 per person per day. Per the usual with my budget meals videos, this is meant to give some ideas and it's meant to be a jumping off point. You probably know better than I do how you can adjust it to your own lifestyle and preferences. And if this isn't what you're looking for, I have tons of these videos. I have done many budget cooking videos with different budgets, shopping at different stores, making different amounts of meals across one day or across multiple days. They are all in a playlist. It is in the description box below. You may be watching this video because it's information that you are looking for specifically, or you may have stumbled across this video and just decided to watch it because it seemed interesting. And if you can, I hope you will utilize this or another budget meal plan, even for a short amount of time, so that you can make a donation to your local food pantries. Either way, I'm really glad that you're here. And if you or somebody you know is struggling with food insecurity, I hope that you will reach out to resources like 211 or local resources in your area for help. I am here in my Walmart and I'm going to do the grocery haul from Walmart for a few reasons. One of which is that it's accessible to me. Walmart and Aldi are pretty much the big grocery store chains available to me where I live, which is in the Tulsa area. And about 80% of my audience is from the US, and Walmart is nationwide. Now, I can't guarantee that the prices I'm paying in my Walmart are going to be exactly the same as the ones in your Walmart, but I have to film this video here where I live using the grocery store that's near my house. But hopefully it will be comparable, at least if you're watching it pretty quickly after it comes out. I have done a lot of planning and preparation for this, so I have an idea of what I'm getting. I got onto the Walmart website and opened up my Walmart app. I kind of checked on the prices and sort of made a plan from there, but I never know what I'm gonna find whenever I come in the store. I wanted to check out the discount bakery rack first because a loaf of bread is on my list for a few different meals this week. And I can save about 23 cents by picking up this discount loaf for 70 cents here, and it is already sliced. If you don't have a comparable option on your bakery rack, you could pick up a loaf of just the regular Great Value brand bread. Mine is priced at 93 cents right now. They finally raised the price on these eggs at my Walmart. They have been under $3. They've been $2.48, but they've jumped up almost $1. So now the least expensive option for eggs are just the, store brand, regular plain large white eggs at $2.62. Don't forget to check out the ethnic food aisles in your grocery store. I'm actually standing in an aisle that has several shelves of Hispanic brands, and I can sometimes find similar or the same products for a little bit less whenever I am looking in other parts of the store like this. For instance, I need a pound of spaghetti for one of my meals, and a pound in the Moderna brand right here is actually less than the Great Value Walmart brand. Yes, by just a few cents, but whenever I'm working with tight budgets like this, saving a few cents here or there can really add up across the whole grocery haul. Another way I navigate these types of tight budgets is to use ingredients across multiple dishes. So one of the stars of this meal plan is going to be ground turkey, because I can still get 3 pounds of ground turkey at my Walmart for $6.84. And I'm actually going to use that in 4 different dinners that I have planned for my family. Buying produce in season also is kind of important whenever it comes to tightening my budget. And watermelons right now are rolled back to $3.98 per melon. And obviously I get lots of fruit servings from just one melon. I have to weigh my produce so I can make sure that it doesn't put me over my budget here. Okay, just over 2 pounds is what I budgeted for. So I'm getting 7 small bananas. Some produce, however, is priced by the item and not by the pound. That is the case where cucumbers are concerned, and I am using those in a few of my meals this week, so I'm gonna make sure I pick out the biggest and best looking ones so that I get the most bang for my buck. 2 pounds of brown rice is actually cheaper than 2 pounds of white rice. Sharp cheeses are more flavorful and go a little longer way than just like a standard mild cheddar. So if you want to still have cheese, but maybe you don't have it in your budget to stock up on a whole bunch of it, whenever I'm tight on the budget, I'm usually picking up a sharp cheese. Here it is, my whole Walmart haul right here before your very eyes. I have 7 bananas here, 3 Roma tomatoes, a package of romaine hearts. There are 3 romaine hearts in here. 3 cucumbers, 1 big, hopefully delicious watermelon. I was a little disappointed they did not have just the natural applesauce, like the unsweetened kind, in stock, but I wanted this for some lunches I'm packing for the kids this week, so I just got strawberry applesauces, a dozen eggs, 1 2-pound bag of broccoli florets from the freezer section, a pound of butter, just the standard 4-stick box, 1 gallon of milk. I went for whole milk so that we could have full fat, all the calories, whole milk, 1 24-ounce container of 4% cottage cheese, plus 1 pound of cheddar cheese, and also 1 package of 12 string cheeses. I also have my 3 pounds of ground turkey, which I mentioned here, and a pound of just regular pork sausage. Back here is sort of the pantry goods section, and I got 1 box of saltines. My Walmart did have them, but they only had the kind with unsalted tops, which is fine. A box of my kids' favorite cereal. There are 13 servings in here, but really this will probably last 3 days worth of breakfast because they eat a little more than just a recommended serving. A complete pancake mix, still a really great deal at my Walmart. It's $1.68 for a complete pancake mix where you just have to add water. And I was going to pick up some oatmeal, but I saw that they had quick grits instead, and I was so excited. Oatmeal has just a smidge more fiber and protein, but I really like grits, and actually in this container there were more servings than in the oatmeal that I was going to get. I also picked up a cake mix, and you may be wondering, why in the world would you get a cake mix whenever you're on a tight budget? But you know what? Sometimes a little treat makes it a little bit more bearable to get out of a tight spot. You know what I mean? 2 boxes of the store brand mac and cheese, 2 packages of pepperonis. I have my pasta here. I got 1 of the little 7-ounce packages of the elbows in the La Moderna brand, and then I got the 1 pound of spaghetti that I showed you in store. I have a pound of dried chickpeas. I'm gonna cook those up, so I'll have probably about 3 cans worth of chickpeas, maybe 4 from this 1 pound of chickpeas. 2 pounds of brown rice. Of course, I have my discount bread here. I'm actually gonna store this in the freezer, and I'm just gonna take it out a few pieces at a time as I need it, because I know that the clock is ticking on the freshness of this bread. Some peanut butter, a can of refried beans, a can of petite diced tomatoes, Italian style, with the basil, garlic, and oregano, and a small can of tomato paste. A big family size can of green beans. My Walmart has started carrying this size, at least I've never noticed it before. It's about the size of 2 of the standard, just 14.5-ounce cans. And a 12 pack of ramen. I was keeping a tally of my total, and I still had a few dollars left at the end of my shopping trip. So I went ahead and picked up 1 small container of sour cream, plus a pound of carrots to add to our meals as well. My total for everything that I showed you guys, I have my receipt right here. My total was $70.02. I went 2 pennies over. I cannot believe it. I couldn't believe how close it was. But right at $70, just a couple of pennies over for everything that I showed you. You were actually sitting in my spice cabinet, and this is where I keep various and sundry seasonings that I use to season my food, and some of which, along with a few condiments from my refrigerator and just a couple of kitchen staples, I will be using in this meal plan. No, I'm not talking about pulling out loads of stuff from my freezer or from my pantry. I'm talking about just the basic stuff that you would probably find in just your standard family kitchen. I'm gonna keep it pretty basic, but if you don't have something that I'm using, a little oil and salt and pepper goes a long way. Seasonings are just a way to make food more palatable. It's not necessary for it to be nutritious. And if you want some ideas for how to stock your kitchen on a tight budget, I actually made a video all about that. I told you not only what I would buy, but the order in which I would buy it and how I would group it so that I could stock my kitchen just about $5 at a time. And I'll also add that we're not working with any dietary restrictions in our household. We don't have anybody who's on a special diet or who has any allergies or sensitivities. So this is not gonna be like a low carb or gluten-free or dairy-free type situation. I'm just making meals that my family will eat, you know, and the kinds of food that we eat on a daily basis. So hopefully there are some ideas for you, and if you need to make adjustments, you probably know better than I do how to make that happen. Whenever I was planning this video, I tried to keep in mind time constraints as well. And I actually don't have a ton of time to do a lot of scratch cooking across this week, but I did do a little bit of prep work by cooking my rice, and I also prepped and cooked my chickpeas. I rinsed them and took out any bad ones. I soaked them overnight, and then I boiled them on the stove for about 90 minutes or so. Then I drained them, and once they cooled down, I just stored them in an airtight container in the refrigerator. The other thing I did was use my cake mix to make cake mix cookies. I could have done a lot of things with the cake mix since I bought milk and eggs and butter, but I just added half a cup of oil and 2 eggs to my cake mix, stirred it all together, and then we dropped it by spoonfuls onto a cookie sheet and baked them at 350 for 7 to 9 minutes. Last night for dinner, we had a recipe that I've made before that has become a weeknight favorite for us, and that is spicy ramen. The inspiration for this comes from a recipe from plainchicken.com, so I will leave that linked in the description box below. And I actually made this recipe for a 5-ingredient dinners video that I did last month. But instead of using thinly sliced pork loin like the original recipe calls for, I used ground beef in that video, and for this video, I'm using some of my ground turkey that I purchased. I browned about 3/4 of a pound of my ground turkey, which is about 1/4 of that package that I purchased. And this is totally optional, but I added just about a teaspoon of beef broth base and a splash of Worcestershire since I'm using this in place of ground beef. Those tips for cooking with ground turkey in place of ground beef came from viewers a while back, so thank you very much. Once the meat was finished cooking to finish up the sauce, I added a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, half a cup of soy sauce, and about a tablespoon of chili garlic sauce. I stirred that all together and let the sauce simmer while my ramen was cooking on the stove, and I used 4 bricks of ramen for this recipe for my family of 5. Now, if you don't have the exact ingredients that I'm using to make this recipe, it's okay. You can just season this with a little salt and pepper. You can use other condiments or other seasonings that you have on hand. You could use the seasoning packets from the ramen noodles, which I am actually not using in this recipe. You can make it what you need to make it. Once my noodles were done cooking, I transferred them directly from the pot they cooked in to the skillet where I was making the sauce and gave it a toss, and then it was ready to serve. And I cooked up about half of my bag of frozen broccoli and served that alongside this dish. This is a really simple recipe and it comes together in about 10 minutes, but it is so delicious. Tonight, we are having some really easy taco bowls. I'm going to brown up some of my ground turkey, and I'm going to season this using a little bit of my own homemade taco seasoning. I will leave my recipe, the spice mixture that I use, typed out in the description box below, but you can season this however you want, or if you wanted to add just a little bit to your budget, you could pick up a couple packets of taco seasoning in your grocery haul. I'm also going to heat up my refried beans, and then we're going to make taco bowls using some of the rice, the meat, the beans. I'm gonna wash and chop up one of my romaine hearts, one of my tomatoes, and shred up just a little bit of my cheese. And we can even top it with just a little bit of sour cream because I was able to squeeze that little carton of sour cream into my grocery haul. Whenever I am making these types of videos, sometimes I say that variety is a luxury. And sometimes in order to shave a little bit off of our grocery budgets, we need to use certain ingredients across multiple dishes, or we need to recreate similar meals from night to night. So in making this meal plan, I decided that we were going to have the spicy ramen dish twice, once at the beginning of the week and once at the end of the week. And I also purchased enough ingredients that we could do the taco bowls 2 nights as well. So I could make enough one night that we could eat the leftovers the next night. So that takes care of 4 dinners for us. The children have had cereal and milk with a little bit of fruit as an option for breakfast, but I wanted to give them another breakfast option, which is why I picked up that pancake mix. And even though I purchased butter and milk, I went ahead and just picked up a complete pancake mix because all you have to do is add water to the mix to make pancakes. And I made this even easier by just making my pancakes in a sheet pan. I used 4 cups of my pancake mix, which is about half the box, and I added about 1 3/4 to 2 cups of water. I just added water until it was the consistency that I wanted the batter to be. I poured that into my sheet pan, and I added just a little bit of peanut butter and a sprinkling of brown sugar, but that's optional. You don't have to do that. You can just bake the pancakes plain. Mine took about 15 minutes in a 350-degree oven to bake, and then I just sliced those up, and we can have those with a little bit of sliced banana, a little extra peanut butter. You know, there's all kinds of ways that you can dress up pancakes based on what you have on hand, but I did purchase butter, so even if you just wanted to eat the pancakes with a little bit of butter, that's an option also. Now, my husband and I are not huge breakfast breakfast eaters, but I had intended to purchase some oatmeal as a breakfast option for my husband and myself. But I changed my plan when I saw this 24-ounce canister of quick cooking grits in the Great Value brand for $1.37. There are 18 servings in this container, so that's more than enough for my husband and I to have a serving of grits for breakfast every morning. And I have made quick grits many times over the years. You just follow the directions on the back of the package. I have made them in the microwave. I have made them on the stove. I have even occasionally used hot water from the coffee maker. And there are lots of different things that you can add to grits to flavor them. I personally like my grits savory, so a little bit of butter, some salt and pepper, and if I can spare just a little sprinkling of cheese occasionally, oh, so good. That's my favorite way to eat grits. But some people actually prefer to add a little sugar to their grits and make them sweeter. And in fact, after I had shopped and started filming this video, Christine over at Frugal Fit Mom put up a budget meals video from Dollar Tree, and she actually chose grits as well as a breakfast item, and she had several different options for cooking grits. So if you are looking for more ideas where grits are concerned, I will leave that video linked in the description box as well. I also can't make or eat grits without thinking of my cousin Vinny.
I just actually never seen a grit
Comment
before.
below if you know the movie I'm talking about. It is the weekend and we're going to be out of the house and outside most of the day, so I know that I'm going to thank myself later for prepping tonight's dinner right now, which is going to be an Italian pasta salad. At least that's what I'm calling it. I have my pasta boiling on the stove, and once that is done, I will drain it, and then I will add a few cups of my cooked chickpeas, and I'm also going to wash up and chop one of my tomatoes and one of my cucumbers. For proteins, I'm going to use one of my packages of pepperonis. I'm going to chop those up as well, and I'm going to take 6 of those mozzarella sticks that I bought, and I'm going to slice them into little pieces to toss in as well. I'm going to dress this with a really simple vinaigrette that is just oil and vinegar and a little bit of Dijon mustard. The pepperonis are going to provide a lot of flavor because, you know, pepperonis are pretty heavily seasoned, so you could just do salt and pepper, you could just do a splash of oil and vinegar. You can decide how you want to season this salad or if you want to season it at all. Once that is all stirred together, I'm going to pop it into the fridge and let it chill for a few hours, and then when we are ready to eat it, I'm going to serve it alongside some of the lettuce from my romaine hearts. Those romaine hearts go a long way. There's a lot of lettuce in that little package, but I'll wait to add that until right when we're ready to eat it. Another day, another lunch for the children. I just cooked up one of my boxes of mac and cheese, and to go along with that, I have a little bit of watermelon, a few crackers, and a cookie. And I have enough to make this lunch twice this week. The kids and I have an activity at the church for a few days that requires a packed lunch. So this is what I put together for the kids' lunch. It's basically a Lunchable. I mean, we adults have renamed it charcuterie, but for kids, this is a Lunchable. So I have lots of crackers here. I have lots of pepperoni, some sliced cheese, a little bit of cucumber sliced up, and I even have one of my little cookies that I made. And then I also have some watermelon here, some watermelon chunks that I went ahead and sliced up for them so they don't make a mess wherever it is that they're picnicking today. And I actually have enough to make this lunch twice for the children. So they will be eating this twice for lunch this week. And to be honest, I think they're more excited about this lunch than any of the other ones that I have planned. Crackers and cheese, hard to go wrong with that. Another lunch for the children that can be eaten outside of the house. These are peanut butter sandwiches that I made using the loaf of discount bread that I bought from the discount bakery rack. I have a string cheese here, some carrot sticks, a few crackers, and then this is one of my strawberry applesauces. I had intended to send a cookie in this lunch as well, but unbeknownst to me, the children ate some of those yesterday after dinner, so that's okay. They can live without that. And as you probably have guessed, based on the trend, I have enough to make this lunch twice. My husband and I eat leftovers a lot of times for lunch, and this week there were a few servings of leftovers, namely the pasta salad, the spaghetti, and even the taco bowls had a few servings of leftovers that my husband and I could eat for lunch. But that wasn't going to cover lunch for the entire week, so I knew I needed another lunch option for my husband and myself. So I made a really delicious rice and chickpea salad. I used about 3 to 4 cups of my cooked rice, about half of my cooked chickpeas, and I added one of my cucumbers chopped up, and then I dressed that with the same really simple, oil and vinaigrette that I used on the pasta salad. I even had a little bit of lettuce here and there that I could serve alongside this lunch, plus I had cottage cheese. So whenever I was making up these lunches, we could have a really generous serving of the rice and chickpea salad, maybe a little bit of romaine lettuce, and then about a third to half a cup of cottage cheese along the side. And this made about 6 or 7 lunches for my husband and myself. The children and I still need one more day of lunch, and I'm very glad that I purchased the big case of ramen noodles, because after making the spicy ramen twice, I still have 4 bricks of ramen. I also still have eggs, and I have just a little bit of frozen broccoli and a few carrots. So I think I'm gonna make some ramen, and I'm using the TikTok mayo ramen, you guys might remember, as sort of an inspiration for this. I'm gonna peel and chop my carrots and get those boiling on the stove on their own for about 5 or 6 minutes because they take the longest to cook. Then I'm gonna add the broccoli and let it cook for a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to add the ramen noodles and let that cook for about 3 minutes. While all that's cooking, I'm going to whisk 2 eggs and put in 2 of my seasoning packets from the ramen, and also add just a little bit of mayo, like maybe a tablespoon. Once the ramen and the veggies are done cooking, I'm gonna drain most but not all of the broth, and I'm gonna turn the heat off, but I'm gonna go ahead and add that sauce mixture with the eggs to it and let it sit for a couple of minutes, because the heat from the soup and from the pot is going to cook the rest of it all together. There are lots of ways that you could make, a really easy ramen dish. You don't even have to add the mayo like I did, but that's just what I'm doing for us today. Hopefully that gives you an idea. A little snack option here of crackers and peanut butter. I know it's pretty simple, but it's a classic for a reason. Am I right? Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest or the easiest, which is why last night we just had spaghetti. And I think there's a reason why this is a frequent flyer on so many family menus. I mean, it's usually pretty cheap, it's easy to make, it's very versatile because you can adapt the sauce or the pasta or the veggies that you're using to put the pasta sauce on according to your lifestyle or your preferences. I made my spaghetti sauce using half a pound of the ground sausage that I purchased. I browned that up, and then I added my can of petite diced tomatoes, my can of tomato paste, and about 3 cans worth of water. I went pretty easy on the seasoning for this because sausage is already seasoned. So I just added about a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, a little salt and pepper, and a pinch of crushed red pepper flake. I actually used my slow cooker to make this because I knew that we were going to be eating in shifts last night and that we would need to eat at different times, so I wanted it to be easy to keep the sauce warm. But normally I would just make this on the stove. I served our spaghetti with my family size can of green beans as a vegetable side, plus I still had a few pieces of bread left over to make garlic toast, and that was dinner last night. We're on the last day of this budget meal plan, and I need one more dinner, and I'm going to try something that I recently discovered, and that is to use pancake mix to make biscuits. Maybe you guys already knew about this, but I was perusing Pinterest for some ideas, and I came across biscuits from pancake mix, and since I was purchasing pancake mix to make pancakes, I thought, well, I can use the other half of my box of pancake mix to make biscuits, especially since I purchased milk and butter in this grocery haul as well. I also have half a dozen eggs and half a pound of sausage left. I am very excited to discover I actually have 8 eggs left. I used 2 for the cookies earlier in the week, and I used 2 for the ramen lunch. And for some reason I was thinking in my head I had used 2 to make the pancake bake, but actually I just used water in the mix to make the pancake bake. So I actually have 8 eggs, yay. So I think I'll make an egg and sausage scramble to go along with our biscuits. In my bowl here, I have 4 cups of pancake mix. That was the rest of my box of complete pancake mix. And here I have 2/3 of a cup of milk, and I added a tablespoon of vinegar to this and let it sit for about 5 minutes. That's gonna make it act like buttermilk. I also have half a stick or 4 tablespoons of butter. I'm going to melt this and put it into the bottom of a casserole dish that I'm going to use to bake these biscuits. I'm just going to stir my biscuits with the buttermilk. My dough is still a tad dry after the 2/3 of a cup of milk, so I'm gonna add a little bit more milk, just a tablespoon or so at a time, until the dough is the consistency that I want. And I'm going to use just a scoop to make drop biscuits. I'm gonna drop those right into the pan with the melted butter and then bake them in a 400-degree oven until they are done, probably about 10 to 12 minutes. Now, if you still had some milk left and you have a little bit of flour, you could do biscuits and gravy, because sausage gravy just takes sausage, a little bit of flour, salt and pepper, and milk. And then you can make your eggs over easy or still scramble them, make your eggs however you want, and you could have biscuits and gravy with eggs on the side. I, however, must be raising crazy children because for some reason my children don't care for biscuits and gravy. So that is why I'm going the route of just doing a sausage and egg scramble with the biscuits, and I think we might still have a little bit of fruit left to serve on the side. If you want more budget cooking videos, pick out one of these or visit that playlist in the description box below.